Welcome, everybody, back to The Hole in the World, an actual play set in the world of the Invisible Sun RPG by Monte Cook Games. I am, as always, your GM, your producer, your Zach, otherwise known as Great Zamino, who uses he, him pronouns. And I am joined once again by my wonderful, wonderful cast, starting with Marcy, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Marcy, and I think, as I said in the last episode, if you don't know who I am at this point and you've been presumably watching the game for, I don't know, since it started, there will be a pop quiz at the end of this, and this is not an open book test, so good luck. However, I am playing Gabrielle Kazan, the iconoclastic ardent apostate who hosts a choir.
Amazing. Excellent. Moving down the line, Bill, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone. If you don't know who I am at this point, that makes two of us. I am playing Maree. Maree Webb, a stalwart empath of the Order of Weavers who turns tales into reality.
Amazing. Moving over to the opposite side of the overlay now, Hopper, if you would like to introduce yourself.
The anti-authoritarian in me says no. But the consummate performer in me says yes. Hi, I'm Hopper. My pronouns are they, them. And I don't know who I'm playing tonight. Either way, they're going to be a problem. I just don't know whomst. I'm taking a wild...
Oh, hold on.
I'm taking a wild guess, and I'm going to say it's probably Okris, the iconoclastic ardent apostate who heralds endings. But,
And then, finally, last but certainly not least, Marissa, if you want to introduce yourself. And you are mute.
I am in fact mute. Wow. Not anymore. That's the magic of Invisible Sun. When you understand the words, you can make the words happen. It has nothing to do with our technology or lack thereof. Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an editor of books, TTRPGs, and video games, also known as Critical Kitten, with various punctuation here and there on the internet. And I play Kiri von Hollingsworth, the first assistant librarian of the Order of the Vance. She is an aromatic stoic who understands the words, guardian of Zaleska's grimoire, maven of mirrors, mistress of monikers, and curator of King Nine's library, who last time actually invoked her curatorial employ for the first time in a very long time to uncertain effect. Whoops.
Whoops, indeed. We shall see how that goes. So guys, a lot's transpired, and before we can kind of go over what transpired, I am going to have to put on some fairly familiar music, which goes a little bit something like this. So, when last we left our Vizsla, you guys had managed to go into the secret mental greenhouse atrium, the shared atrium within the dual heart of Okris and Twig. One side of this atrium in ruin, one side of this atrium festooned with rapacious life, spouting from the top of it a root that seemed to kind of tie in a lot of the magical energies that had suffused this liminal space. And it was in this atrium that you discovered the reposed, declining, decrepit, rotting body of Kestrel, called Kesh, the thief of always. And you guys encountered a shadow of Kesh, and who endeavored to try to negotiate with you on their own behalf, promising that they would save you for last when their rampage of revenge was set upon the actuality. Rather than take them at their word, Twig, you managed to sever the root that had bound Jiren the Devoured to Kesh, and it turns out that Kesh had been having their power siphoned by Jiren the Devoured, which having that connection severed empowered them, but not before you could lay waste to the shadow, before it could climb back into the body and reconstitute itself. So you all were struggling to, I would say struggling, you had essentially locked down this creature, but no matter how much damage you did to it, it seemed to regenerate, and it seemed to be growing more and more impatient with this, until finally you managed to knock it down long enough for Gabrielle to fire Mercy, the bullet that Twig had provided her to, in case the event arrived that you would need to essentially put down Twig or Ogress, that you would have it for that occasion. However, it was very effective in killing a immortal creature, as your knowledge, Kiri, kind of came to you in a flash as you thought more about this, the consequences of the binding of Kestrel within this body. With Kestrel defeated, they essentially wondered about what would happen to Ogress and Twig without them kind of steering their destinies, which left only an angered but weakened Jiren that seemed to be running havoc within the memories of Ogress and of Twig's time at the Saturnine radio station. Maurice, you had teleported there to try to find out what was going on within this realm, whether or not it had some sort of means of salvation from the encounter that you were having with Kestrel. But instead, you encountered a green-haired woman named Aya, who told you that you had arrived early, that you were not who they were expecting. She was expecting, rather, and bid you to hide with her as Jiren began kind of suffusing this memory with darkness. You learned whilst in the radio station that Jiren had essentially stolen some of the ideas of immortality from Ogress and Twig, and thus empowered himself to never die. However, with that connection severed, he was little more than a savage kind of calico of all manner of memory and darkness and what was remained of Kestrel's consciousness. And so all of you managed to find, as the radio tower toppled and kind of tore a rift in the reality of this liminal space, you managed to find yourselves in a rollicking mosh pit of a punk club that normally would have been situated in Detroit. Through teamwork and through kind of a concerted effort to put to rest Jiren once and for all, you managed to destroy his influence and watch him disintegrate with all of the sorcery that Ogress poured into one final shot. So, with these nightmares banished and destroyed, you found yourselves in what was now a much kind of more sedate environment, more like the kind of low-key punk club that Twig had started in. And as you kind of grew and adjusted to your surroundings, Aya asked Ogress and Twig what they truly believed in. One saying everything, the other one saying nothing. And with that revelation, she expressed a happiness that you believed in anything, as she revealed herself to be the living seed of truth, the seed of true faith. And it is in this moment, in this kind of aftermath, that you guys find yourselves. And so, you find yourself back in this punk club. The music has died down. Aya, this green-haired humanoid woman, seemingly with now a mote of light seeming to kind of almost move through her translucent form, almost like kind of like a light bead projecting a hologram of a person. She studies all of you and looks to both Okris and Twig and says, I'm sure you and your friends have questions. I am a creature of truth. I may be able to answer those questions.
And both Okris and Twig are present right now.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Are they like visually distinct?
You are separate.
Freaky. Hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think either of them immediately have a question. There's a sense of this might be the first time that you've seen Twig look properly somber, like concerned with their own mortality. And Okris mostly just seems lost in thought.
Maurice might be the first one to speak up here. And he says, where are we right now?
We are in the Sea of Abstraction, inside a half-world, which is also a wellspring. Have you ever heard of such a term?
A wellspring? I've heard of a half-world.
A wellspring is like a font of magic, of power. Think of it as where the current kind of spouts or is able to manifest more of itself in a place. This is how I was able to power the liminal space and create what you see here.
Maurice looks at Okris and Twig and says, so you got your heart? Or
And
each one of you does?
as you say that, Maurice, and I think Twig, you reflexively turn, or I think you finally kind of notice that bandage, it feels flat, as though kind of the tissue or whatever binding was kind of standing up and pressed into the bandage is no longer there.
Yeah, I guess I don't really understand what's happening here. There's something off about... There's something wrong.
Aya looks at you, and there is a sad look in her eyes as you say that. And I think at that point she kind of looks... It's almost like she wants to say something, but then she looks to your other companions, to Gabrielle and to Kiri.
Think at the answer to the question of where are we, the Sea of Abstraction, almost unbidden in Kiri's mind's eye pops a scene, a memory perhaps. She's maybe 9 years old in a blue swimsuit on a beach, and there's a mother and a father who are swinging her towards a camera, their sunburnt faces beaming, and Allegra somewhere in the background building a sand castle, sullen, looking quiet, somewhat reserved.
And
she hears waves, and she hears seagulls. But something in the memory loops unexpectedly, like a little hitch, like it repeats itself.
Absolutely. There is that kind of... You find yourself also lost in thought as you begin playing this loop over. And at which point Aya looks to all of you and said, I know your endurance must have been inordinate. It must have been so much. I wanted to find you, but the magnitude of what you were facing, it kept me here, and I think I'm meant to show all of you something. And she begins kind of gesturing you through the punk club. And you realize, Twig, as you are kind of like looking where she's directing, she's taking you towards the back exit and the alley where you fought those neo-Nazis at the start of all of this journey.
Yeah, I think Okris and Twig are both following. It is interesting because they do... Seeing them move next to each other is probably a little surreal. Because they don't move the same. They look the same. And even without distinctive features quickly findable, there is like this sense of lockstep. Like their feet hit the ground at the same time, even though they're moving in a completely different manner.
It's like you're marching to different beats, but you have the same tempo, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I think that as you're kind of like are walking out towards this back alley entrance, are all of you guys following suit? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. She opens the door and she looks back at you and say, I recreated this from memory with the wellspring, but I don't know how long it lasts now that the stopper has essentially been pulled. And she takes you and you see frozen in the alleyway your form, Twig, about to punch the Nazi with the red lace boots. And that's when, almost kind of like shimmering out of fog, you see a jacketed form with a hood kind of pulled over it, and a blank face, holding a very ornate, glowing weapon to the back of your head. As what you realize is an approximation of your form, almost like a shadowy remembrance, is frozen in place. And you hear the words that you heard so very long ago, which actually wasn't all that much time at all, but feels like an eternity. It's good to see you again, Twig. I'll see you again soon. And you watch as the trigger is pulled on that weapon, but rather than you collapsing into death in the middle of this kind of facsimile of the gray, you watch your form almost erupt into blue mist. And that's when you see what appears to be an approximation of Aya. Their form, again, that kind of disconcerting feeling that you were having with Okris and Twig next to each other, it's very similar. One of these Ayas is very shadowy, and almost clinging to the side where she had entered to try to intercept all of this kind of shadow violence. And that's when you hear her say, Twig! In exclamation. And that's when you see the faceless form turn and look at her, the gun at the ready, before the form holsters the gun and pulls off the mask. Maurice, you see plain as day, clearly, Kieran von Mielis. And you just hear him address Aya directly. You're not gonna understand this, and I barely do. But things are going wrong, and I have to get them into the game. Find them. Or wait for them. They will find this place, I'm sure. Make it ready. Make sure they're ready when the time comes. We don't have much time remaining. Trust me. Oh no. And you watch him walk out past the alley into kind of the glimmering shadows and fog of the Detroit streets. And you just hear her looking at this, and then both of them kind of turn back. I will say, Maurice, as Kieran's form leaves the alley, you almost see him turn to look where you are. It occurs to you that Kieran's third eye is in your pocket. And the form, almost like an afterthought, turns back to its purpose and strides down the alley. And that's when Aya turns to look at all of you and says, "Who is he to all of you?" I would have expected him to kill me, but he didn't. Or at least to try.
He's one of the only reasons the actuality is still here.
But why would he try to kill you? And she looks at you, Twig.
He's the only other one that remembered. He's the only one that remembered. We didn't. Those memories are. He knew the whole time. He was in stasis, waiting. Plotting, I guess.
He helped us get into the gray. And here, in this moment, when Maurice gestures, this is him getting us out.
There's a good deal of truth in that. Whatever he believed, I felt it. He believed it strongly. That what he was doing was the right thing. I know that this is the only place where both of you can exist. I don't know how long we have here, but I know that more is afoot. I'm here to prepare you however I can to do what he suggested I do. I found the wellspring. I knew of these half-worlds that you had told me about. I sought it out, and I prepared this as a way of homecoming, and I safeguarded your heart. It was my intention to give it back to you that night. I don't know if he knew that. I don't think he could.
And I think Okra speaks up. Or actually, here's a question for you. Does Okris know who this person is?
Kieran? Oh, yeah.
No, not Kieran.
Aya?
Aya.
No. I think that one thing I think that you guys knew about was that essentially at the end of the war report was that the Ordo Rem had managed to secure a seed. You just don't know where it had gone. And you get the sense that seeing that mote of light is very familiar to you, Okris. So I think you kind of figure, you can put one and one together, or you can say that that connection's not clear yet. I'll leave it up to you.
Well, it's more like the granularity of that knowledge. Like I can intuit what or who Aya is, but Aya and Twig have a relationship that it goes past simply knowledge of. And I think Ogris distrusts that.
And yeah, absolutely. Okris kind of, I think the other thing is Okris may put together very quickly that, yes, this is a seed of truth. Is this the person that's attached to? Oh no, this is something that Twig awakened. I feel like at this point that instinct kind of like goes hand in hand with Okris.
Yeah, I would say the body language absolutely reflects that. Whereas Twig is kind of like pacing back and forth and talking. Ogris is standing back, kind of not braced for attack, but clearly ready for anything. And keeping quiet.
Yeah. And she says, here, we can go back to the beach. I know that this must not be a fond memory.
It's not my favorite.
And she looks at you and says, and yet I felt like you needed to know. You needed to understand. And she begins kind of walking back into the club.
I think Twig kind of glances back at everybody else and thinks about say, like you can almost see them say something, but then they close their mouth and just turn and follow.
And you see her kind of stride across the club, these kind of shadows of former punk rockers. And Twig, you see kind of like a reflection of Aggie on the ground, kind of racing to like basically punch back. And not far along, further along, you see Dirty Ron. Both of them just kind of like an amalgamation of memories and kind of the forms of this past life that seems so foreign to you. And
yeah, I don't think Twig pays them very much mind. They walk past, just kind of like a quick glance and a nod, and then push onwards.
And as all of you kind of find yourselves back in the club, she walks across through the mosh pit, which has grown more sedate, less kind of intense. The music almost seems to have receded to a hum. And as she kind of walks out the door of the club, she bids you all follow. And when each of you emerges from this place, you are greeted by the light of an indigo sun and a rocky, mountainous beach, as well as kind of this cavern from which protrudes the facade of this punk rock club, almost as if kind of sculpted out of it with, sheer magical power. And you see her kind of kicking along at the shore of a beach, just kind of absent-mindedly digging her toes into the sand. This place, it was one of my favorite places to be. It was one of the only places I wanted to go when Twig, you told me about it. I've seen so many places that shouldn't exist. I found it by happenstance. I was looking for a solution. Some source of power, but I could feel it. I haven't left here in some time. But honestly, I would have been fine with it being the last thing I saw. There's much to do. Perhaps you should all rest. I there's another cavern. It's not far from here. It should provide shelter. In the meantime, I'm at your disposal.
Hey. I think Twig kind of turns back around and kind of jauntily looks at the other four and says, well, I don't know about y'all, but I could sure use a nap.
Maurice smiles. It's a bit stiff. It's not 100%. But he says, yeah, I'm beat. He looks to Aya and says, but like we're not in danger of this whole thing collapsing on us? I'm tired of running at full speed the whole time.
No, this place has a permanence to it. As long as the wellspring is here, the magic kind of exerts a gravity, a pull. One could plug the wellspring or destroy it, but it would be a hard task to undertake. As it is, this will be here, I'm sure, when all of you expire. Perhaps when I depart this existence.
Maurice sends a glance back over at Kiri. What's Kiri doing?
I think Kiri is looking sort of questioningly, curiously, and also maybe a smidge skeptically at Aya. Almost like a cat that's meeting a new person for the first time. Very much like, I feel like you're important. I don't entirely know why. And I think she steps forward and addresses Aya. You said you're a creature of truth. If that's true, then how can you expire?
How can she what?
Expire.
Well, in truth, my purpose dictates that this existence, as I see it, this perspective, will only last for as long as I put off my purpose. And my purpose has arrived.
Your form is an illusion. It's not real. Once we depart here, you will become what Kiri and I have. Something that is a part of us.
No. I could depart here. I could be something new, something different. They gave me that. But that is not my purpose, and that is not what I truly believe that I want. I seek my sisters. And she gestures to both Gavriel and Kiri. The fourth is lost. The fourth one of us is lost, but yes. I suspect that you will encounter her soon. And that is a more natural state for me. Go on.
Do you know how you came to be? It seems you were awakened, no? But before that, were you made? Were you found? Are you just a part of things? Where do seeds of truth come from, anyway?
Well, they are shed by a god of truth, a warden of truth. But typically only as a consequence of their death or their passing, the passing of a mantle where there is no one left to receive it. I was shed when the old Queen King Quis died, and found myself scattered to the actuality. I was recovered quickly, but it was Twig that animated me. Perhaps as an additional defensive measure. I am grateful for this time, for this existence, but it is not my natural state and is not my natural inclination.
Everyone should get a choice.
And I am grateful for that, and your faith in that. And I have made my choice. So rest easy in that. I'm sure that you are tired. Please rest. I'll be here if you need me.
Maurice isn't the first one to move.
Curie looks like she has 1,000 more questions for an animated seed of truth, but also her eyes look very tired.
And as she says, go rest, then she kind of thinks about it and just says, or not. And there's a smile that plays on the corner of these translucing lips.
Okay. No, I'm not going to call your bluff. and he walks a bit stiffly over to this cave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a pleasant cove. There seems to be kind of a hole in the cavern that seems to let in light, but even as you kind of encounter it, the light of the indigo sun is beginning to pale and dim as you realize that the sun is setting. Do all of you follow suit, or are any of you sticking around to ask questions?
No, Gav will also head towards the cove. Not that she really brought anything to help make camp. I think she's a little confused on where we physically are. Like, we're no longer in a hardscape. That feels clear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just how do we get out of here?
That is a very good question. Do you wish to ask it?
I don't need to ask that of her.
You're more than welcome to.
But I might not get the real response.
I mean, she is a being of truth.
That's true. Of faith.
Mm-hmm.
I have what it could actually be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she will give you a true response.
No, she'll give me a true response of faith, is what I'm assuming. Just like you will give, your seed will give a truth of what somebody is feeling and their subjective truth.
Much to Kirie's chagrin.
I'm trying to open up Google Maps.
I will say this. You have the seed of verifiable fact.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. I think...
that was my joking way of saying that.
Hey,
yeah,
there we go.
I'm trying to literally wonder where we physically are in the space of the actuality. Because I fully trust that we're safe here and that we should rest here. Mm-hmm. It's more after we do that, which way do we go? Or it might not even be a matter of like which way we go. It might be a matter of what way do we open.
I think absolutely there is a kind of almost your eyes kind of go into rapid eye movement into REM as across your kind of in your field of vision, in your mind's eye, you begin seeing a panoply of documents, all of which are discussing our travelogues and discussions and treatises on the nature of the Sea of Abstraction. The sea itself is a part of, the indigo sun. It is actually has a port in the city of Satyrine. However, the further out you go in the Sea of Abstraction, the more strange and bizarre these half-worlds get. And you've heard that basically these half-worlds are essentially kind of almost like pools of knowledge or kind of places that have been yoked to reality.
Well, that kind of leads into my next question. I'm partially from the Sea of Abstraction, aren't I?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I will say that as you kind of like, you start thinking of like, what are the rules of this place? And also like, you know, how far is this from home would it be? And you realize probably if it's deep enough, remote enough, it might not be far at all. And so it might be a place that potentially you could visit again. The only thing is you don't know what kind of reception awaits you. But yes, you get a full kind of collection of documentation, and you realize the more that you kind of intake this knowledge and try to make sense of it, you realize the more kind of the rules of these places change, and the physics of it, of the sea, gets more esoteric and strange the further out away from the port you get.
So as I'm walking over to the cove, I just whisper under my breath, we're going to need a bigger boat. Thank you, everyone. I'll leave now.
If all of you kind of settle into this cove, there is one thing I will say. You don't feel the need to keep a watch. You don't feel the need to kind of safeguard yourself. You do feel ensconced and safe within this place. However, I will say that you just note that Aya seems to, as you guys go back into this cove, into this shelter, she seems to just kind of look out onto the sea, from the sand, and just be kind of looking wistfully as the sun sets on Indigo.
I think Okris is trying to find the highest point.
Yeah, absolutely. Through that hole.
You said it's a cove. If it's a cove, that means there's presumably some sort of rise.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the idea is that kind of like almost like that moon, that kind of moon oculus, or that kind of like point where the light is coming into the cove. You could easily climb up it, and you realize it's part of a larger kind of elevation.
Yeah, I think Okris is just looking for the high ground right now.
Yeah, you easily find it. You're able to climb. That said, as you are kind of traveling deeper into the cove and kind of looking, you notice that there is a small little side passage, and a glimmer of moonlight kind of catches the light of it, and kind of you sense something shimmering in the back.
Well, I'm not one to ignore an invitation. Actually, Okris is 100% the type of person to ignore an invitation. But I think we're in a place where everything seems to be abstract and have meaning beyond its surface level.
And you kind of travel deeper into this path, and you see down the side passage, you see the source of the glimmer, which is about a 12-foot high outcropping of solid rock that you realize has been worn and smoothed into a shining black surface of obsidian, almost as polished as a mirror. And as you kind of look past it and kind of like give it that cursory glance before you turn around to finish your investigation, you think you see something in the glass. And I'm going to turn a card.
Great.
Trigger warning. This one is the harvesting spider. Its meanings are esoteric but still significant. A newly erected structure becomes important. Various forces debate over a single important action. Thieves or spies are active in the shadows. Okay. So, you take a look at this, and you swear, looking at it, that you see almost like an after image of yourself in the reflection. And it's slightly dissimilar from your own nature.
In what way?
It feels as though, when you look at it, it is... Well, actually, make me an intellect roll. You can make me a magical knowledge roll for this.
Okay, I have 1 level of magical lore, and I will spend a point of intellect. Yeah, so I'm just rolling +2.
Okay. So you only got 2? Or what did you...
No,
or you're
it's +2.
Okay.
Got a total of 7.
Excellent. Okay. On a 7, you take a look at it, and you notice something, which is that you are... In this image, Okris, you are still carrying a hammer. It seems to, and then as you kind of look, you see that the armor of the 13th hour seems to be engraved with more elaborate filigree.
Does this feel old?
It feels new. It feels like an alteration. Like something that you would do in order to make that armor bolstered.
Well, it's probably not something Okris would do. It's not really how they live in the worlds. But tools are useful. Tools have purpose.
You see something about that form as well as an after image is it seems almost fading, as though it's less substantial.
Do I sense any malevolence from this mirror?
Not at all.
I think Okris is going to reach out and touch the mirror.
As you touch the mirror, one word occurs to you as you touch it, and it is potential. If you remove your hand, that word almost seems to leave your consciousness.
So if I pull my hand away, the word seems to fade?
Yeah. As though, like, that kind of bolt of inspiration, that eureka, feels less natural.
Can I push my hands into the mirror?
You may certainly do that.
Okris has a pretty entropic effect on a lot of physical objects, so this might be bad. But we're going to find out.
Okay. I have turned another card. This one is the Monarch, the sovereign of notions, cats, clocks, and wind. Authority, judgment, the land, the world. A ruler or authority figure becomes involved in the matter at hand. Someone passes judgment. Someone travels between worlds or suns. My words
that feels ominous.
Yeah. So as you touch the obsidian mirror, there is a sense of authority. Almost kind of like an empowerment, as the current seems to surge from the wellspring as you touch it. And you realize that there is something about this that is empowering in a much more permanent way. You get the sense that you could shape your destiny or advance it in such a way that it could manifest upon you physically. But when you reach for that, you feel as if there's a buffer there, as though there is something that is preventing you from this, from seizing this potential.
I think Okris says one word into the mirror.
What's that?
Why?
And you do not receive a response.
Well, they've never needed a mandate before, and I don't see why they need one now. And I think we're just gonna push through.
Okay.
If it ends, it ends.
All right. Twig, you feel a pull as if you... And I think, Twig, what are you doing in this moment?
I think Twig is kind of kicked back, jacket rolled up like a pillow, kind of like sprawled out on like a little shelf of rocks, just kind of like spacing out, but trying to process and think and figure out what's going on.
As you're kind of like thinking, you have a feeling that you haven't had in quite a long time, which is your heart leaps in your chest as you feel pulled out of your reclining position.
What the fuck?
You find yourself short of breath as your heart palpitates. What do you do?
Look around.
You feel a tug in a particular kind of side passage in this cove. Are you sleeping or kind of like resting next to everybody, or have you kind of like gone off to the side? What does this look like?
I think Twig is staying relatively close to Aya, and that's about it.
Okay. As you do that, she looks at you and says, I think looks at, is something the matter?
Just heart troubles.
You feel the squeeze of your heart, and you feel your form almost being pulled backward, as something in the cove is beckoning you.
This is fucking ominous. Yeah, I think Twig stands up and kind of grokking that Okris isn't here, is just going to begin figuring out what the fuck direction this is.
So basically, as you are being kind of pulled, you kind of right your path and you realize you're being pulled deeper into the cove. I am assuming if you were spending time next to Aya that you were out on the beach. You are getting pulled into the cove towards everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you follow this instinct and do not fight it, it will take you all the way to that passageway. Are you doing anything in that meantime?
I think Twig is smart enough to figure out this is probably something Okris has done. But dumb enough not to ask anybody to come along.
I think in that case, you are pulled into this passageway. Aya is walking behind, and as she sees where you're going, she slows and very gently takes your hand and begins kind of walking with a purpose to you, with you.
What are they doing?
She looks at you and she says, discovering their purpose, or perhaps acting on their potential. It's the only way you can leave this place. But they needed guidance, and they do not have it.
Shit. Okay. What happens if one of us leaves?
I'm not sure that either of you can exist outside of this place. I don't know if... I was hoping that we could find some amelioratory, some remedy, something to help. I don't know if both of you can leave, if one of you can leave. There must be some way of ensuring this, but this is a means by which you can empower yourselves to leave, but it's too soon. And as she says that, you feel again like your heart squeeze as something pulls you closer to the mirror.
All right. Yeah, I think Twig is like stagger running at this point. Trying to get to wherever this is.
Yeah, and I think if you are stagger running, you are hearing, I think all of you who have settled down for the night, any of you who are fast risers, are going to hear the sound of, kind of clopping footsteps. As
I was going to say, did Okris go past us already?
I would say that if they were careful to move past everybody, I'd say they would probably do so stealthily.
I'd like to see if I noticed.
Absolutely. Well, like, I don't think this is even something you roll. Do you think that she would notice Okris?
Considering Gav is a military gal, I'm pretty sure she was up early.
Yeah.
And is a very light sleeper.
I will say in this case that I think if you wanted to, you could have followed them into the side.
Well, Well, essentially what I wanted to do is, if I did notice it, but if I don't need to roll for that, I was just gonna sort of be saying I was tailing Okris for a second, just a few steps behind them, and just sort of at some point go, so where are we going?
I think it was at this point you were about to say when you saw Okris just dip into the wall and disappear. What have you done in this kind of like in this intervening time when
so you're hearing Twig running up behind you? You're muted.
No, I'm not.
Oh. Yeah. I want to resolve this because it's a few seconds between when this happens and when Okris kind of disappeared. What do you do in those seconds?
Is there something that I did not see anything glowing in the wall?
You saw Okris, as you were about to say.
Just go through it.
Yeah, just go through it, and almost like it was water.
Well, I'm going to put a hand on the wall because I'm a dumbass.
Okay. You put a hand on the wall, and as you do this, you see a reflection of Okris reflected back at you, and you see something like almost like their form is shifting. Like iterations are kind of this character are kind of moving past your eyes, and you are seeing them kind of almost like differentiating in certain ways and amalgamating in others, but they seem translucent and like almost as though they are fading.
In the wall?
In the wall, like you are seeing the reflection, their reflection reflecting back.
Okay, if I can't get in there, I think Gav is going to be trying to go back to get the others at this point, which means she might run into you, Twig.
Absolutely. Yeah, Twig, you are just feeling that pull. You are feeling the pulse of something like just kind of dragging you to this place. I was going to say, as you guys bump in, what does this look like? What do you say?
What? What the fuck?
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, and I think like you see Twig go like, ugh.
And as you are pulled, you feel your hand kind of press against the wall for support, and then it begins sinking.
No.
And as you are...
Gav doesn't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
And as, I think, Gav, as you are looking, like, as you are, like, starting to move, you just hear Aya's voice say, they are finding their purpose, their potential, their true north.
You're saying that this is supposed to happen.
I think it's the only way they can leave, but I don't know if they'll be able to. But whatever they choose, they have to do it together. And she just kind of like, she's not trying to stop you from doing anything, but she is kind of like looking, and you realize there's kind of a frightened look on her face.
Good luck. And I let go.
And Twig, you disappear into the wall. And
Great. That feels healthy.
And reflecting back at you, Gabrielle, you just see a form beginning to kind of shimmer and begin to change more dramatically. And I want to know, Kiri, Maurice, what are you guys doing?
Maurice, he was outside the cove. I think he was actually a bit further away. I think he sat down and then laid down and then tried to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now he is, for the purposes of this scene, unaware of what's going on and rather far away.
Okay. What about you, Kiri?
Yeah, I think Kiri may have been... I think Kiri was sort of sidling up to Aya at the point that Aya was then sort of distracted and taken away to Twig. And so I think Kiri has followed Aya and Twig to the mirror wall and witnessed what happened. And I think seeing that transpire, the second she sees Twig go into a reflected space, she goes, absolutely not. They will lie to them in there, and she's gonna try to enter mirror space.
As you do this, you realize it's not glass. It's polished stone that is exuding a will. And not only that, a force unto itself. It is not also, you realize, as you touch the polished surface, it is not your reflection you are seeing. It is not a reflection. It is something, basically kind of almost a potential, which in itself is unique to this, kind of like to this structure. You realize, but however, as you touch it, I'm going to turn a card. The Devil. This is the nemesis of Secrets, Ravens, Books, and Flame. Temptation, lies, charm, persuasion, and words. This is most often a sign of danger, but its interpretation can focus more on the devil's tools than his aims. Charm, persuasion, and honeyed words, but beware insincerity of such things, and the lies they conceal. In a more straightforward reading, the card represents the lure of seduction, either literally or figuratively in the seduction of evil. Making easy choices can be seductive, but that way lies danger. Okay. A charming... He sits there staring, and while you might wonder, you do not know what he's thinking. I think that you realize that you are kind of leaning into this reflection, and it is something different. However, there is a backlash as you realize that what you are touching is not a manifestation of mirrors. It is a manifestation of the current of magic. And I need you to make a resist roll. Not a resist, a withstand roll, as there is a psychic backlash from this.
Fun. I'll have one of those. I'm just gonna straight roll it.
Okay.
It's a 4.
Okay.
During Pride Month?
During Pride Month? So,
You mean you needing to have a deeper understanding of yourself on Pride Month?
You receive a psychic backlash of 1 anguish as something, almost as though something kind of rumbles inside of you, as though something is almost, it's kind of upsetting your own equilibrium, for a lack of a better word. Anybody in this space with you, Gav, you see something happen to Kiri. You see her form shimmer and glow indigo for a moment before she is kind of like forced to step back from the wall.
Stop trying to go into the magical wall.
I think Kiri reels back from it, but is like, it's a reflected space, Gav. I can't let them go in there.
Of course you can. I did.
But we don't know. It's a prison of lies. They're just
all right.
Be...
Well, the literal seed of truth for faith has said that this might be one of the only ways that Twig and Ochres might be able to maintain some form of themselves outside of this space. Are you saying that the seed of truth is a liar?
No, but I'm saying that there's science that might do that for them. Science that they don't have to explore by walking into a reflected mirror space.
Kiri, I have something for you for that. Ask your seed.
No.
Do it.
My seed has nothing to say.
Oh,
Why would my seed say
the one of inner truth, the one of like who you are as a person, might not have anything to say now. That might make you think that this is something that potentially needs to happen.
No, but
No.
Inner truth is never going to stack up against verifiable fact.
You're right. Let me ask.
I don't think it works that way, Gav.
I can ask
I don't
you.
think you can ask my seed questions.
Yes, I can. I get really uncomfortably close to you. Is this something that Twig and Ochres potentially need to do on their own?
So
can our seeds interact? Is what I'm actually look mechanically. Let me back it up here for you, Zach.
Actually,
I want verifiable
Zach,
facts to go
their
on a
seeds-
play
can their
date
seeds
with
touch?
inner truth.
their seeds touch. Okay.
What if
Even-
our seeds touched in the sea of abstraction?
It's
Oh my
Good
god.
night!
They were pod mates.
Oh.
so. Can they touch in the seas of abstraction?
I would like to literally reach out and touch Faith.
So here's the thing.
I can keep going.
No, this is fantastic because what happens is you note with all three of you there, it does have the effect. You see your seed glow indigo, translucent under your skin. You see the same effect happen, just kind of almost rising up out of Kiri's throat. You just see essentially kind of like that light. You realize that it's so much brighter close to her chest, and you watch all of Aya light up. Indigo as her form, as almost that mode of light that is circling within her like a bead, starts moving rapidly. And she says, "Bring the four of us together, and a power formidable there will be." And that is where we're going to smash cut. You find yourself suffused in a liminal space, in a nondescript area, and I'm going to change the music for this. Twig and Ochres. You find yourself in a space that is suffused with an indigo mist. It is not an unpleasant sensation, but you get the sense that you are in a place that has an up, it has a down, but those kind of rules of gravity, those physics, are not apparent to you. They're just there because you expect them to be. And you are looking at each other. You are able to see each other face to face. I ask in this moment, is there anything that Twig and Ochres say to each other?
Ochres punches Twig in the face immediately.
What? Okay. I'm not gonna make you roll against yourself. Does it hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I think there is, you kind of see almost a ripple kind of emerge from the mist. Do you get a sense of, I will say that this is a ken here that you have beyond speech. Does Twig know why?
Yeah, because they hate each other. They've hated each other for what, millennia? Can you imagine being stuck as a roommate with the person you hate for thousands of years? Do you know the level of just pettiness that builds up over that time? And if you can't punch each other because you don't actually directly interact in a corporeal manner, do you know how satisfying it would be to just punch that motherfucker in the face?
Does Twig respond in kind?
I think Twig just goes, "What the fuck?"
And I think
I guess
that
we're not going to be civil about this. I think you broke it. How do you break something that's not real? I hope you didn't break our nose in fucking whatever when we get more real. I hate it here. This is stupid. And like they're just like they just like kind of blow blood out of their nose.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, and what is Okris saying in this moment? Like as a like rejoinder.
You literally can't go anywhere without causing problems, can you? First off, fuck you. Second off, God, this really hurts. And third off, fuck you.
As you say this, as you kind of have this squabble, you just kind of hear or kind of understand finally this notion of potential. You're in a place and you realize that the reason that you are having to be together in this place and that it seems so kind of overwhelming is that your bond, regardless of how much you hate each other, is inextricable. Together you are part of the whole. Together maybe you are something more than one, but it's only together that you are whole. And a part of this, another kind of concept floods your mind. Beyond potential, there is purpose. Unity of purpose. It's posed to you in this moment, to both of you, interrogatively. How do you respond?
Does this seem like it's coming from somewhere specific?
Seems like it's coming from a font, some sort of source.
Like Calibiri or
like
Times New Roman? Sorry, I'm so sorry.
like a source of magic, like magic itself is speaking to you.
Oh, so like super serious and very dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Just something chill and super tame, like the magic itself.
That you realize that it is the current that is speaking to you.
I think both of them are they're exactly what they've always been. That's the thing, the reason why they're stuck in this situation in the first place is that they're opposites or near opposites. They exist in contrast to one another, both in tone and in structure and in spirit, but also I think both of them are aware that with Kesh dead, the old bindings, the things that made them what King Nine did might not be anymore.
And as you think that, there is a reflection of your form back at you, crumbling as though it were kind of decrepit, cracked earth, and you see a part of your form begin to erode, as though like sand falling out of an hourglass.
I think Twig responds to this. Oh, come on, that's bullshit.
And as you say that, you realize that, Twig, you see a reflection of yourself, wherein you realize that the life is beginning to kind of be festooned out of you. Vines, kind of roots, things kind of beginning to, but all of their cohesion that make this form are beginning to unravel. And again,
so it's
that notion of potential.
And I think collectively there's an understanding that there is no path forward that doesn't involve change. That's kind of, they never change, but that's always what they've brought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Okris just kind of looks at Twig and flicks the blood, just only the faintest trace of ink in that blood off their knuckles, and says, "Everything ends."
Purpose.
Yeah, well, I don't want to. Too bad. And ooh, I'm so conflicted. I'm making decisions. I hate making decisions. So, and I think the two of them turn and face what this is. This feels like a card pull, Zach. Because I don't think that you could get either of these two to ever give in to the other, or ever give any ground. These are two unstoppable forces. They don't give.
The Watcher, the Sovereign of mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stone. Meanings: parental figure, sight, alertness, observation, and knowledge. The wisdom that comes from taking the time to observe and contemplate before acting cannot be overstated. The Watcher watches, he observes from afar, assessing and contemplating. He records what he sees and analyzes the data. He remains ever vigilant from his vantage point. Nothing slips by his eternal gaze. The Sovereign of mysteries, the Watcher is a father figure. He shares his knowledge with those close to him and advises those he deems worthy. The movement of the stars are the thoughts of God-given motion. So, something amazing is seen. Secret knowledge is the key to a significant problem or challenge. And the current lays bare its purpose. And you see a kind of, almost kind of like a kaleidoscope of images of all of the people that individually Okris and Twig could be, how they could, what kind of consequences they could arrive at, their failure. In a house that is suffused with darkness, you see them being expired and pulled into that darkness. In another, you see them triumphant over a towering serpent, as even their form begins to break away. You see them watching the end of the whole of the actuality as reality seems to cave in on itself. And you see this individually, but when you see more of these images of them together rather than apart, you see more triumphant images, but that notion of decay remains, that notion of the bindings coming undone, and you realize that what the actuality, the current, is trying to show you is that your potential can be realized here, that your potential is greater together. if you so choose to continue this bond. But
which current is this? Hi. I'm here to ask the irritating mechanical questions.
I gotta say this is current M.
This is current M. Okay.
And it is, when it asks you your purpose, is trying to create a unification of, essentially whatever purposes you have, and encouraging you essentially to unify them or to find some sort of collaboration, some sort of way to move either or both of you or one of you each forward separately. It is asking you, what is your purpose?
I think this is silent. This is the two of them existing in the same space and coming to the same truth in the same moment. And there is a silent admission that while they had answered Aya earlier, that Twig believed in nothing, or Twig believed in everything and Okris believed in nothing. The truth is that it's a lot more complex than that.
Okay.
And I think they believe in the world and themselves, but not really in anything other than the way they engage in the world and the change that they bring. They're here to start new stories and burn down the old ones. And even when they were something else, that was largely true. And now it's all they really have left. It's not really a question of how much, it's really a question of how little.
Change. And when you step out of the obsidian, both of your forms remain separate, but they have changed as you are able to advance your character by spending crux and acumen in whatever fashion you deem. We will do this offline. However, give us a taste as both of you guys exit the obsidian. What is now different from when you had entered?
Twig's nose is still broken. I think we see a little bit of the internal spirits underneath, the creatures that got jammed into this body a long time ago. Okris is a little bit smokier, kind of bits and pieces of themselves burning away at odd moments. Like, you can see the air, there's things touching them, kind of breaking apart in this entropic haze. And Twig looks less human. It's subtle. It's almost like if you were to look at them, the way they move is disconcerting. It's like the joints are moving. It's like somebody was like, I can recreate the human body. Except there's like 6 joints where there's supposed to be 1, kind of recreating that. So there's just an odd sinuosity to them. I can make up words too, Monte Cook.
Like a human centipede.
Oh my. Oh no.
Thanks. No. No.
We're gonna gloss over that one.
Aren't you glad I'm here?
But I think when yeah, go ahead.
I will say the one other noticeable difference is the eyes. They don't have each other's eyes anymore.
Excellent. As you emerge, Aya looks to you, Gav, and you, Kiri, and says, I was going to tell all of you that in order to leave this place, and part of the defensive properties why I chose it, is you have to understand your purpose. You have to find your means of personal navigation to cross this part of the sea of abstraction. You have to discern your potential. I hope that you find the success that they each did. And it's on that note that we're going to take a 10-minute break.
Yeah, we all get to go on a mind trip.
Yeah. All right. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We are going to come back in about 10 minutes time where we're going to resume this fantastic kind of scene and episode. And then we are going to hopefully see where everybody's potential takes them. Stay tuned.
But when
Welcome back, everybody, once again to The Hole in the World, an actual play set in the Invisible Sun RPG by Monte Cook Games. Where last we left it off, we had just realized that Okris and Twig had separately realized their potential within a manifestation of the Wellspring. So we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off at that moment. I'm going to put on some music. So, you, Gabrielle, Kiri, you both see Twig and Okris emerge, kind of their potentials kind of realized in a way. And I think, at the very least, Kiri, you understand, having kind of made contact with this like wall face, this kind of obsidian outcropping, that something within the wellspring has augmented these two individual entities separately and yet together. And I think Aya looks at all of you having kind of explained the notion of your magnetic north, your ability to navigate the sea of abstraction. And she looks at both of you and said, I was hoping to give you some time to rest before you tackled this, but if all of you would rather do this now, then perhaps I should go find your friend.
Fuck.
I'll rest when I'm dead.
Very well, then.
I think Kiri steps back a little bit. She's like a little wary of this thing. It's too much like a mirror for her comfort.
I absolutely, and I think almost like you see it just, would you say reflexively that Chesnor's glass skin almost kind of like ripples through you? Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
You, like, Gabrielle, you just see this kind of ripple go through Kiri's skin in this moment. And Aya looks to both of you and say, well, I guess I will leave you to it. I will find your friend Maurice and bring him here. Before long, unless you guys are choosing, I think at this point, Gabrielle, whether or not you are choosing to go in first without waiting.
No, I don't think Gav would go in without helping Maurice get up to speed with what's about to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. In that moment, I think a few minutes later, Maurice, you were kind of sought after and kind of pulled into this small cavern. And you realize with all five of you, there's only a little bit of extra space on either side as all of you have kind of gathered together, and you are looking at this wall. And you realize actually that it is not reflecting anything but the light until one of you approaches. Now that Twig and Okris have kind of left the wall, the reflection is gone. And Aya explains to you, Maurice, this is a manifestation of the wellspring. It will help you to define your purpose. I think I willed it here when I was setting about creating the protection for the heart. Or maybe it just arrived, but either way, it will help you traverse the sea of abstraction and help you get to where you need to go from here. But it will also force you to consider your potential.
Maurice wipes a bit of drool from the side of his mouth and says, so we couldn't wait for the morning? No, it's fine. It's fine. Maurice regards Okris and Twig and says, I'm glad you're both still here. And I didn't know if I would think that. And Maurice looks at Twig, this new Twig, and says, I'm sorry, and I forgive you. Whatever's coming next, I think it's bigger than you and me.
Yeah. It is.
Maurice looks at Gav for a second and is, I think, assaulted with certainty and assuredness and nods, and then looks to Kiri and gives her a pat or two on the back and says, I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be.
If it makes you feel any better, sleep isn't gonna make this any easier.
So, Aya, is this like a one at a time thing, or?
I don't really know.
It is. It is. This manifestation is enough to hold your totality. It seems that holding both Twig and Okris together is more of kind of, I think, the summation of that. I'm not sure putting 2, 3, or more into this manifestation will perhaps break this manifestation of the Wellspring's power. I would say.
Oh, then we might have a problem, as I contain multitudes.
And she kind of considers that and kind of looks where that seed is in the void in your chest and sees the halo. Indeed. I guess then we must put it to the test. Perhaps you should go last.
Just in case I break it.
Curie steps back. No, I think you'll find I'm going last because I'm not going in there.
I'm gonna push you in.
Can I
With your, let me back up. Marissa, do I have your permission to do this?
I think Curie would resist it.
No, I meant you, the player. Do I have your permission to do this? I don't need Curie's permission.
I feel like Marissa, the player, would like to have someone else go first, but she doesn't have to go first.
Okay.
You can absolutely do that one.
Do you want me to turn a card?
Yeah. Oh, that's. I like that.
It.
I like that. I like that.
Go for it.
Okay, and I will go ahead and put the path up. 1 second.
It's just building off of our previous conversation of tapping into your seed of truth, and just Gav's like, get it.
The looming shade. It strengthens gray and weakens indigo. Terror, doom, impending danger, unseen threats. Danger raises its head when this card is turned. This is a threat that comes from an unseen, unexpected quarter. It is the doom that lurks where one least expects it. Obviously, this card is always a bad omen. It really has no positive meanings. The PC recognizes an impending threat before it occurs, in the time to try to prevent it. An NPC foe is terrified. Do not ignore the threat that lurks in the dark just because you can't see it.
Hey, what the hell?
So
this is not going to go well for Curie, is it?
I was just playing a funny little prank on my friend here to go to therapy.
So I will give you.
Therapy is dangerous.
Go get some therapy.
I will give you 2 options, and you guys choose which is the kind of like the most interesting to you. Is either something kind of reflexive happens in the moment when you try to grab Curie and throw her into the surface, and instead with a unnatural strength, she throws you in instead. That's one. Or you, in the process of throwing her into the surface, see genuine, unmitigated terror. What is more interesting in this moment?
Both of those are very interesting.
Yeah, I like both of those.
Normally, if I was in another game, I would suggest a tiebreaker for this, but I don't know if it's thematically appropriate here.
I was gonna say this action is happening to you, Marissa, to your character, Marissa. So I think this should be your choice.
Why not both? How about this?
Both happen?
Let me propose a thing. Well, not at the same time, but I mean, you can get genuine, unmitigated terror, and still have Gav thrown in.
Okay.
A middle road. What about this? Because I like of the first one this sort of idea that almost reflexively it's like a defense mechanism, quite literally. And you established, Zach, that this Chesnor's glass skin has kind of armored itself almost on her. What if, as Gav, you reach to do this and throw Curie in this sort of fun, playful prank kind of way, and something reaches out of the mirror in Kiri's body and pushes you in. And the last thing you see as you look back is this like sheer terror on Kiri's face.
I will do you. I see your terror and I raise you.
Please do.
You, Gabrielle, you feel this rough hand. It's not just rough, it's sharp. A hand grabs you and throws you into the surface, and as you are facing back, falling backwards, your eyes meet Kiri's, and she's completely and utterly terrified and in a moment of shock. And then you turn as your gaze travels down. You just see kind of almost like a reflection in this kind of mirrored surface of her clothing even. You see a face leering back at you. You can make out the faintest outline of a jester's cap and completely silvered scleras with no pupils looking back at you with grim, somber non-expression.
Exactly what I planned.
Hey, what the fuck?
What? What?
I think Maurice has leapt forward at this point to kind of catch Kiri.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of brings her into an embrace. And is the glass skin allowing this?
You feel as you kind of like embrace, you feel your hands kind of almost get cut and torn on the surface of her limbs.
He braces and takes it.
Okay. Take 1 injury.
Yeah.
But we are going to smash cut from there to Gabrielle. You find yourself in a liminal space of indigo mist swirling. And you realize that you see a light glowing somewhere off in the distance, and it's getting closer to you. And then you sense another form approaching. You know the tomb of the, I believe the Chinese emperor, where there are all these terracotta soldiers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see a light illuminating these kind of multitudinous forms as it makes its way towards you. And you see a form completely separate also moving. And do you do anything in this moment to prepare?
I do think that Gab fully realizes what's happened and just sort of heaves a sigh. I think she's less overtly freaked out by what just happened with Kiri and more, because correct me if I'm wrong, Marissa, I know about the mirror virus.
You totally do.
Yeah, and this is going to be something we're going to have to deal with later, because it's clearly getting worse.
Yeah, you saw her disappear into a mirror several episodes back, and you didn't know where she went, and then she came back, and she was kind of weird after that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
There's some stuff happening. She won't talk about it though.
Oh, I know.
Why would she?
So yes, I will follow. I get the gist of what's going on. This isn't the first time I've been in a strange liminal space before.
This ain't my first liminal space mirror rodeo. Yeah, absolutely. And I think at this point, you're bracing for this, and you see that light get closer, and you realize it's a halo. As you see Athariel moving towards you. It's the first time you've spoken to Athariel in quite some time. The last time you actually saw her made manifest was in the Legacy.
When I talked to God.
Yeah, in the Aurustam. And you see her kind of making her way towards you. How are you here? What's going on? And then the second form approaches, and it has almost this stalking kind of stooped posture, and you see an Arabast in its full kind of physiology, kind of moving through this crowded space, and you hear the sound of what all of those forms stacked one by one to another. You hear them all about face as if to turn on this interloper. And you recognize Jakob, your uncle, who is trapped here, and looks and says, I mean no harm.
We are all in this space together. It is apparently what needs to happen.
You know, Maduan told me how proud he was of you, and it's amazing to finally see you.
I actually think in this weirdly reflective space, in each of like the little shards of this obsidian-esque stone, that we see Gav in her Soviet uniform. We see Gav midway through a fight, maybe covered in blood, but still very much human. And we see a version of Gav that is purely Arabast. And then we see Gav as she is now, and then we also see Gav in her Eye of Amanus form, and it's all flickering around. I think the movement of this halo is what is causing this light refraction.
Absolutely. And I think Athariel kind of is no stranger to this, but I think Jakob, having seen you here for the first time, anywhere for the first time, in the actual flesh, not mind controlled, is, I think, still kind of marveling and taking you in. And then you feel that word in your mind. Potential. In this moment, how do you react to hearing it?
How many entities is it going to take to get a satisfied answer to this question?
And as you...
Do you think that whatever you are, that you're the first to ask?
Potential. And arrayed in front of you are a series of images. You see yourself a number of places triumphant, and you see several iterations of yourself. One with gigantic pairs of wings that seem to almost kind of not only kind of flare out, but also tend to kind of come in, and you realize are shielding you from a rain of blows. In another image, you see yourself opening one door and then the next, and then running through differing realities in order to make it to a goal and seize an objective. Yet another, you see yourself as an Arabast in your Eye of Amanus form manifest something, and you watch a wall form in front of you as it seems to, again, mitigate some sort of kind of notice of an adversary. You realize that these are all different places or different ways that your life can go, and it is more of like an interrogation, this kind of thought of like, where do you see yourself headed?
Gav waves it away like so much smoke. Enough! Do you think I'm going to choose one of these and hope it is the right answer?
And I think that you just hear Jakob go, "You are definitely Maduan's daughter." And Athariel is just standing sentinel, kind of looking in this liminal space. The forms, you realize, of those kind of terracotta-like soldiers are the other 66 angels within you. They all, once again, are all standing sentinel. And now not interpreting Jakob as a threat, they are just kind of awaiting something. They don't know what.
Gav starts pacing up and down as if she's waiting for something to show itself, even if there isn't any form coming, even if that's not something that is potentially possible. She's interrogating this magical stream as if it was a real sapient entity, I think is the word I'm looking for. You want potential. You want a one-word response that will make me worth your time, your while, that will be enough for you to release me? I don't need you.
You see another image manifest, and it's a series of images, and you realize that it is a vision of the multifaceted one, and your encounter with it. In one point, it shows you firing a rifle through it and destroying it utterly. In another, you see yourself speaking to it and holding a dialogue. And even though it is of a different form, it also essentially basically looks as you realize that it is the same form, almost like dream logic. Almost the same entity. And then the final image, it looks like you are giving something to it. Potential.
No. See, I could list all the things that I might be, that I am not, and all that it still could be. Herald, harbinger, anarchist, rebel, leader, prophet. Will that satisfy you? No, I don't think so, but you want me to explain something, to define myself based on boundaries that I don't even think exist. I am all of these things. I will start a war to end one. I will bring down a regime that is long overdue for a defeat. I am Joshua, and they are the wall.
As if acknowledging something, a new thought, a new word forms in your mind. Purpose. And before you say anything, or kind of like have some time to think, again, Jakob says, "Are you sure we should be pissing off the entire all-knowing font of magic?"
You think this is the first god that I've talked to?
You know, fair point. I will let you continue to do the talking. I say let, but really, who would stop you?
You're not mine. I don't answer to you. You brought me in here. I need not prove anything to you.
Again.
My potential is my purpose. And I do not create it or explain it to you.
You just hear one word in response. Downfall. And you realize it is not speaking of your downfall. And you have a moment, you realize, before it seems like this satisfied entity or force pushes you back out. And Athariel, you realize it's kind of letting you stay there as long as you need to. And Athariel and Jakob look expectantly at you. So I guess that went well.
Think so.
How do you know, when you look at Jakob, that this Arabast is your family?
I think the feathers that make up like the crest of our hair is in the same pattern and the same colors.
I didn't think this is how we would meet, but I'm still glad that I get a chance to meet you. I think someday, maybe you do something right, you find some sort of potion or incantation or something, and I leave this place, but in the meantime, it's nice to know you're close to family.
It is. And maybe when the world makes a bit more sense, I'll work on finding that potion.
I wish I had been there. With you. Not to see you. Well, technically, I guess I was with you. But there was something that was me but not me. I didn't get to see you as I hoped. Getting to help you grow up. I'm glad you are the woman you are now. But I'm just sorry that I couldn't help you along the way. I need you to know that.
You give yourself far too little credit. I think you helped me grow up. More than you know.
I think there was a part of me that tried to shape what you saw, and another part that kept sabotaging. But I think that I won often enough. I hope I did. And Athariel in this moment kind of regards you. So, we're this close to the end now, aren't we?
Yes.
What do you think happens to the choir when all of this is over? We will always be steadfast.
You are the supposedly all-knowing angel, and you want me to guess what happens?
I think you've proven your wisdom and surety enough. I think you...
My surety, absolutely. My wisdom, well... Thank you for the vote of confidence.
I think the vote is unanimous if you ask anyone. And you just hear, all of them kind of turn in response.
I'm shouting around, what kind of angels are you? It's never unanimous.
Well, and then
I think that is actually the end of like the thing. Like Gav walks back towards the wall, being like, where's your sense of democracy? Your sense of debate?
Debate as you step out of the wall.
You're all
and Gabrielle, you may spend however much crux and however much acumen to realize a potential of yourself that even the non-potential potential, the apostate's apostate rather. And what does that look like for all of us? Does anything change?
You know what? Is it a cop-out? If nothing changes.
Nope.
Gav went in there with this full assurance, and maybe it's a little bit of just her apostate behavior, and maybe it's a little bit of her seed of truth, but she knew exactly who she was when she went in there, and she knows exactly who she is when she comes out, and not God, not man, not angels, not a wellspring of magic gets to determine that. She just explained herself.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. In that case, knowing how trepidatious Kiri is about approaching this font of magic, Maurice, it seems like it falls on you to approach first, if you would like.
Maurice hasn't let go of Kiri, and he whispers something only she is able to hear, and says, I know why you're afraid. I do. I know exactly why. And I'll be here when you come out.
Softest tone of voice Maurice hears. But what if I don't?
Purpose Potential.
Maurice, you don't understand.
I've got Allegra rattling around up here. I think I do.
I am not Allegra.
No, you're not. That's honestly, that's the best thing I could have heard you say.
What's in there is a current of magic, Maurice, and I think that's what you don't. What if it's... Maybe it's... goodbye.
Zach, am I back out?
You are back out.
Curie, you show it who you are, not the other way around.
Maurice, let's go.
He watches you fade into the onyx wall.
In this case, once again, you find yourself in a liminal space. We find ourselves, I should say. And Kiri, once again, you are surrounded by mist. Indigo mist. But there's something different for you. You realize you see the lattice work of this place. You see the geometry of it. You realize that if you pushed hard enough, you could perhaps access something outside of it. It's almost like a thin sieve between you and whatever kind of exists outside of this structure. And as you kind of consider this, kind of the physics of this place, the fancy and logic of it, you hear in your mind potential. What do you think? What crosses your mind in this place? What do you do?
I think what emerges in this place is the inverse reflection of Kirie's mind palace. It's the same in almost every way, except everything is inverted. The thing that's left on the counter is on the right side instead of the left. The turn she knows that goes to like this specific room goes the other way.
I have a proposition. Are you walking on the ceiling?
Yes.
Everything is topsy-turvy. Everything is inverted and chiral. And you hear the word potential. What occurs to you?
I think there's a room in Kirie's mind palace that is a lecture hall. A very standard, kind of academic, university type old school room, the kind that Curie herself once sat in back in the gray. An amphitheater, where at the bottom is the place where the professor lectures, with rows and rows of almost stadium seating for students above. And I think Curie enters this room, and as the word potential echoes, calls to her from that room, it's Allegra, the professor, lecturing potential, how it's achieved, how it's created, how it's made.
As you sit here in this lecture hall, Allegra slides begin kind of manifesting in the air as though there were a projector, but there's no projector. This is the actuality. This is indigo, or this is a pastiche of it. The image appears in air, and it feels more three-dimensional than a flat image on a projected onto a wall, or a flat, thin piece of canvas. And on either side of you are Arwen and Ardeno, a young Ardeno, both studiously taking notes, but at the same time kind of looking as though trying to perceive something they're not quite able to observe. To the right of Ardeno, you see a woman absolutely befuddled, looking around in terror, and you realize that it is the heiress whose soul you took in order to imitate for your heist. She is the way that she is gripping the desk of the lecture hall in front of you is the same way you gripped Gavriel's arm as you were being thrown or attempted to be thrown into this structure. And Allegra is continuing as though nothing has transpired, as though nothing is different from standard fare. But at the same time, the images that are laid out, you see a powerful magus of the Vance summoning and calling forth spells that adhere to your will. The image changes. You see a woman essentially made completely of glass, surrounded by mirrors, and you see hands and arms outstretched trying to pull forms reflective of this version of yourself out from the glass as though they were portals. And yet in a third image that flicks, potential, the potentiality of magical power is dictated by the formulaeum. In fact, if you think of Orod's inverse equation, and almost as if to bury this in a sea of words, you see an image of a glowing figure, exultant and filled with indigo light, pulsing, strobing in a sea of light. Potential. What else do you see?
I think Kiri takes one look at that figure and one look at the lecture hall, and she thinks for a moment, and she says, "Pause."
Everything stops.
She looks at the frozen face of Allegra mid-sentence. She looks at Arwen and Ardeno mid-scribble. She looks at the Viscountess of 7 Stars. And Kiri says, "Enough." And she turns to the Viscountess, this mask of fear on her face, and she puts one hand on her shoulder. And she says, "You are no one's puppet."
You say this to Allegra, or you say this to yourself?
She says this to the Countess.
And almost as though you are tapping into a radio frequency on a dial in a radio, you hear, "I don't know why I'm here. I feel like I'm wrapped in a layer of gauze. How did I end up here? Why? What are they writing? What is she talking about? Theorems? Formulae? God, do they know that I'm Anon?"
It doesn't concern you. Be calm.
And as you say that, what is your intention? Just for her to be still and serene? Or do you try to send her away?
Kiri's intention, that's an interesting question. Her intention is to soothe. I think the result, Zach, I leave that to you.
And I leave that to the cards. Golden ship. It powers gold, it weakens silver. Wealth earned, our honor, prestige, and respect. There are many ships, but only one golden ship. This legendary vessel supposedly carries only the greatest heroes, the most influential celebrities, the highest nobles, and the most powerful Vizsla to ports of call most people cannot even imagine. Even seeing the ship is a great honor. It represents wealth and prestige. The starry sky is our ocean. We set sail for eternity. You see her form as she looks to you. Her face relaxes, calmed, serene. I can leave. I see it now. The path out. What's your name?
Curiel von Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Curiel. I can go home. And as she says that, she looks around and you see a door in this inverted photo-negative lecture hall open, and it is filled with golden light. And she looks as though she's about to be caught, and she dashes through the door. And it shuts behind her.
And I think to her retreating form, Curie says, I'm sorry. You are no one's puppet, least of all mine.
Purpose.
And I think Curie looks at the indigo glowing figure. Enough.
Is that all you say?
I think that's what she says, given her knowledge of it, yeah.
You step out of the wall. You feel as though something is missing, but you may feel this kind of furtive need to hide that. Or, well, I'm not telling you how you feel. How does Curie feel knowing that she has not received a reply?
I think that's spot on. I think she emerges as though she too were transformed in the way she witnessed Gav and Twig and Ogris coming out different and changed. She performs it.
So, in this case, you may once again spend acumen and spend crux to your fullest extent with whatever advancements you would like. How does your form have seem to have changed to everyone else as they perceive you?
The only thing that's different, and I don't know if the others recognize this, but Okris certainly would. Curie's hair looks like Allegra's, and there's a raven in it now. Softens.
Sophanox, you realize, is almost kind of like affectionately nuzzling your ear.
Not all goodbyes are all that long, are they, Kiri? How do you feel?
Uh, Good, I think. And I think she gestures to the bird. I seem to have reclaimed something.
Is there always a bird in your hair?
The
I don't
bird
know.
narrows its eyes at you.
I narrow my eyes back. I'm gonna have like beef with the bird now. What the hell?
Bird
Hey.
fight, bird fight, bird fight,
Oh
bird
yeah, no,
fight.
I actually think my feathers, you know when like cockatoos get a little bit like sassy, they spring forward. That's exactly what's happening here.
Sophonox stare down.
We both puff up like bird orbs, borbs.
Orbs.
Borboff.
Or
A
worse.
borboff.
Blurb Wars. So that only leaves one final Vizsla.
Maurice, in addition to having just been woken up from finally falling asleep by Aya, he had taken off his shoes and socks and his pants. And his shirt is unbuttoned and open. His chest is out, and his the boxers definitely have hearts on them. And
I didn't realize you were full like American sitcom dad. This entire like emotional encounter.
yeah. And he like gestures at his back as he straightens up and walks towards this obsidian wall, like the kitchen.
You're Pooh Bearing it towards the obsidian wall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess you're wearing underwear.
I'm wearing underwear.
All right.
But hey, you want to see my potential?
The wall begrudgingly accepts you in.
Nice to meet you, Wall. I'm
The
Dan.
wall opens like a fridge door at 1 a.m.
Yep.
Wait, show me them honey pots.
Oh my
Yep.
god. Okay.
The
yeah.
wall files that can claim with HR.
Look, I've had to deal with a lot. I had 67 angels inside me earlier. This
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. All right.
Almost.
I could take 67 angels. Oh, you mean fight?
Uh-huh. The wall gives as you touch, like a pool of water. And you step forward. And you find yourself in a liminal space. But where there had been mist or other manifestations of this power, as you step in, Maurice, you see you are at the center of a massive web. Large silk ropes enough to act almost kind of as a climbing obstacle course of some sort. It is vast, and as you look up, it looks even greater. And I think sitting on one rung of this web, you see a younger version of yourself, kind of studying and taking you in with 8 eyes, 3 pairs of arms crossed. The spider prince regards you silently and nods.
Maurice ambles up and takes a seat across.
And I have to ask you, when the spider prince regards you, is it silently? Or do you is this a conversation? Is this kind of a manifestation of a lesson or a discussion that you've always wanted to have? Or is this just your past, you finally looking face to face with a past you had forgotten that you had?
Well, don't pretend like you don't want to say something. Go ahead.
Honestly, I'm amazed that we got this far.
Me too. You know, potential is a funny word to think about. Because I feel like...
Potential. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No. Say what you're going to say. But it is a powerful word.
You gave up your potential.
Well,
to be me.
You say that as though it's a bad thing.
No.
Good.
It's not.
It isn't.
But you are... I am not what I was. It's difficult. I think it's a very common feeling to not feel like you're living up to what you should be, but then to know that it's a self-mutilation. I don't fit in your skin anymore. And I know that that was your plan or whatever, but I'm still you. I feel that loss, even though I can't quite articulate it.
First things first. I don't want to hear you ever, and I suppose I never will hear you, ever call yourself a mutilation again. That is not what you are.
Is that not what you did?
No. I sacrificed something that ultimately I couldn't help in order to help people I cared about. If anything, you are what I've always wanted to be. That whatever station or inheritance that we had, I wasn't allowed to be. A creator, an author, somebody who could tell stories, who could allay people. You saw how Kieran treated me. I was a nightmare to him. I was the bane of, I guess, whatever he considered a spy master.
Sounds like I'm not the only one that has a problem with negative self-talk.
Well, you have me there. When we lost our mother, our father, Parthos, was not kind.
Was he ever?
I think she saw some kindness, something there. I can't imagine that she would have stayed with him otherwise.
I desperately want to know what kind of a father he was. I've been chasing memories I've been desperate to retrieve. Now I'm not so sure I want them anymore. I don't think they matter.
I think they do. We are, after every step in our life, where we're supposed to be, where we're going to be, because of memories. Because when we feel pain, we remember it, we grip it, we hold it to ourselves and remember it, and it forms us like a crucible.
It holds us hostage, too. Look, I'm not here to argue. I'm here to, I don't know, shake all your hands and make up. I don't think we're the same anymore. And I think it's okay to say goodbye.
Do you forgive me? For you, for Basil.
for being alive, I think it's worth. But the thing is, if I didn't, I'd always wonder, is that what you engineered?
Well, I could only see so far. And now I don't see anything beyond your eyes. And I think maybe, if it isn't the last time you'll see me here, then maybe it's one of the last times. And then you won't have to worry about me at all.
I always will. Because your story didn't end when you made me. It's still going. And I'm going to do justice to my story. But it's also yours.
So, potential endings. And he gestures. And you see in the spaces between the rungs of webbing images. I will say this. The odds are not in your favor, but in any good story, the odds always seem the worst before the finale. If you're dealing with something heroic. If it's tragedy, I don't know how much this will help you. But, and he points, and you see that there is an image of you sitting in your kitchen, surrounded by darkness. You see another image of all of you facing what looks to be a massive serpentine creature barreling towards you. And in another image, you see yourself playing a spider's game with King Nine once again. And in one final image, you seem to be holding something that doesn't seem to have any weight or appearance in your hands until you kind of shift your perspective. And you realize that the absence of the shape in your hands is forming a mask, with your fingers kind of almost gripping it through the eye holes. And you're pondering it.
I reach out to the web and pluck it so that image vibrates and becomes bigger, clearer.
As the rungs kind of dissolve, you just see in a kind of gray cast that light, that image kind of flooding your view. The mask seems that as you kind of tilt your head one way or the other, there is almost like a filigree running through it. Whatever it is, it seems to be a symbol of great power. And you realize with the image blown up, it is a manifestation of whatever's behind you. You recognize is maybe a block from your old neighborhood, maybe someplace not dissimilar. Someone always has to wear the mask, you know. Maybe it should be you.
I can go home. I think at that, I'm done. I can go home.
So, purpose. Go home?
Maurice can almost feel in his hands the shape of that object that he's holding in that vision. That's where I'm gonna go. Eventually. Some work to do first.
So, purpose.
Purpose.
Why don't you think on it a little while? I will say you don't have much time, because I think it depends, that determines whether or not how fast you can cross the sea of abstraction.
Bill feels like Maurice has a very clear idea of what purpose is. Zach, what are you waiting for? Did I not give you something?
I think this is just as if he heard Bill say that. The Spider Prince looks at Maurice and says, I think this is where we shake hands.
And Maurice says, bring it in here.
Aw, and you just see 3 pairs of arms come in for an embrace. And yes, you step out of the stone edifice. And once again, you may spend your acumen and your crux on whatever advancements you have available to you. And what differs from the Maurice that exits versus the Maurice that entered?
Maurice is wearing, first of all, his hair is not crazy anymore. His beard is well trimmed. And he's wearing a very finely tailored suit that he would have worn to a wedding in the Gray. Not his wedding, but, as a guest. A tasteful navy with a bit of sheen. He looks still like a dad, but like a dad who's taking care of himself.
Looks
a daddy indeed. Hopper, that's yours, and I'm not gonna let that go. That is yours.
Excellent. Thank you, Spider Daddy. So, upon seeing you...
Which multiverse is that from?
The bad one? Or the fun one?
Spider Daddy does whatever a Spider Daddy does. Doot, doot, doot.
Introducing Mayday Parker. Okay. So, Aya sees Maurice exit and says, well, then I think that our remaining time here is limited. I'm here to answer any questions, but I think you all have some place that you need to be, and you all have the singularity of purpose that you can end up where you need to go. This is my last opportunity to help you in this form before I send you off across the sea of abstraction. So let me know how I can help. But Twig, Okris, the binding that held you has been destroyed. Your hearts are now yours again, but you are still only one body, and now you don't have the benefit of something breaking the cycle of life to benefit you. Only one of you will be able to leave. Unless there's some means by which you could give yourself more time, to have both of you leave now would make your time even shorter, maybe shorter than the time you need.
I think Kiri looks at Twig. I always said science might help. I have a thought.
Go on.
I think she laughs and looks down a little. I wanted this to be some sort of grand moment, I think. Some sort of heroic gesture. But at the end of the day, it's just survival, isn't it? And I think Kiri produces out of her pocket the god's tulip that she stole from the greenhouse back in the gold.
And you see Aya regard this, and her eyebrow raises. From the tears of a god, from conviction, I can feel its power. This could give you the time you need.
I don't want to die.
Its formative, curative properties. I told you once, but I don't know that you ever heard me. You were very far away.
I think Twig looks at Ogress, kind of a look of disgruntlement and loathing and begrudging acceptance that this is not their wheelhouse.
And I think Kiri...
don't want to die. Will this stop that?
Aya looks at you, Kiri, with, I think, a little bit of sorrow, but with sincerity, and says, I think for a time at least.
That's not fair.
Nothing ever is.
No, that is not. All of this. This is what it comes down to, huh? I hope you're happy. Twig is just glaring daggers at Ogress. No. But I accept it. Well, I don't. This is bullshit. I want to leave. I don't want to be here anymore. Does that mean that one of us has to stay?
With that, no. You'll get the same amount of time, both of you. As to more than that, I don't think so. But it is time nonetheless.
You can see Twig is like rippling as their body is kind of struggling to maintain coherency. Like that familiar shape, that ever-present shape is just kind of just moving in a way that is clearly like the edges are poorly defined in the reality of this space. But Ogress is rock solid.
I think Kiri, seeing that, uses her forte ability, transform into words, level 9. The exact same forte ability she used to transmute Jiren into text. And she uses it on the god's tulip because she knows that Twig is a Logavul. She describes the story of the god's tulip, how Frigeliva's tears created it, how in despair and disbelief and sadness over the loss of her lover, Frigeliva wept over the hills that adorned her palace, the Warden of the Silver Sun. And where she cried, the tulips first sprouted, each of them bearing an outer layer of petals that are deeply silver, with touches of sheens of blue. And it is said, in the deepest lore, and in the book that was once housed in Twig's own foam library, they have transformative, curative properties. And when she has written the God's Tulip into words, a permanent transformation, she offers the text to Twig.
Zach?
Describe this moment as you take this text.
I think Twig kind of just darts forward and grabs this and just, I think, looks at Okris with panic. Absolute sheer raw panic. Like, I don't think you've ever seen them scared before. Not really. Wait. And just kind of stares at these words and tries to figure out, do I stuff it? Do they stuff it in their mouth? Do they what can they get the body to do it?
Kiri, you realize that Twig no longer has access to Kesh's abilities. And Aya, at this point, steps forward and says, I think this is the last way I can help you.
Kiri stops her.
And
Can you eat this as a physical substance?
I can.
And I think what Aya does is she grips your hand and she says, I believe you can. You feel a pulse.
Does what is the exact form that the lily now has?
It has been written into text in a book.
Twig starts tearing pages out and shoving them in their mouth, and you just hear the chewing, like labored chewing, as teeth masticating this thankfully thin pages, but still just I'm kind of imagining this is uncomfortably silent. This is somebody with misphonia's worst nightmare, as this cave is just the sound of waves in the distance and the sound of tearing and dry chewing and wet swallowing as they, in a frenzied panic, try to consume this as fast as possible.
And as Twig does that, Kiri uses a different forte ability. Transform from words. I speak the name of a creature, object, or structure, and then begin to describe it verbally as completely as I can. When I am done, these words take on the physical form of what I have described. This takes at least 1 minute, although the more complex the creature or object, in this case decently complex, the more time I must spend, up to 15 minutes. Obviously, to succeed, I must be incredibly familiar with what I am describing, although Kiri has carried this god's tulip around the many suns with her, so I would argue she is indeed fairly incredibly familiar with the god's tulip. The resulting creature or object is permanent, must fit within a medium area, and is no more than 3 levels lower than the level of the ability. If I make a living creature, it has no initial affinity or animosity toward me. Whether it's alive or not within you, Twig, is up to you to decide.
That feels like a card pull.
Absolutely.
I'm picturing like these thin vellum pages turning into the delicate flower petals of a lily towards the end of this. Like, you just watch Twig eat half a book in the grossest way possible, and then at the end it's becoming softer and the petals are forming, and you're seeing the veins and the petioles, and just what a transition.
I have pulled the hunter, the adept of notions, cats, clocks, and wind. This is the perfect card for one pursuing a goal. The hunter suggests that vigilance and persistence will win the day. However, if one isn't actively seeking something, this card turn can portend conflict and even death. A hunter in the ticking forest very likely seeks Eric's hounds, or they seek her. So, your persistence, your steadfastness in this moment, Kiri, proves to be the thing that saves Twig, that enables these words to once again be metabolized, to be absorbed. And you feel a rush of something as you begin to once again cohese and cohere your form together. It might be psychosomatic. It might just be the reassurance that Kiri seemingly has produced this panacea, but in this moment, you feel whole. Even looking at Okris, knowing that they also exist, you feel like even if they leave, you will still be able to persist here. But if you leave together, you will still be whole as well. It's a hard feeling to describe, but there is a surety to it, perhaps imbued by her own surety.
All right. Let's find out if this worked.
Then I guess that this is where I leave you. And she starts leaving the cave before she says, "Walk with me to the beach. I want to see it one last time."
I think... Is it clear who she's talking to?
She's talking to all of you.
Okris, I think, steps forward very quickly.
And all of you watch as she leads you to the beach, all of you now kind of in realizing your potential, several of you realizing your purpose. She looks to all of you and says, "So, to cross the sea of abstraction from this isle, you must have a unity of purpose, a unity of understanding of your destination. Do you know, all of you, where you wish to go?"
I will say, I don't know shit. I have no idea what's going on.
I'm assuming we want to go back to Saturnine.
I assumed that you had gone to seek my final sister.
The last seed.
Yes.
The one in the dark.
The longer you
Where can
wait,
we find it?
I believe in the blue sun. That's where I feel it. But it's obscured, clouded somehow. Like it's deeper.
Okris reaches a hand down and just gives her hand, takes her hand and gives it a squeeze.
Well, it stands to reason that an ending of a point of view, I guess we should be friends as well.
It's gonna be okay.
I know. I have faith. And soon, you will too. And
Why does that feel like a threat?
And she smiles and laughs, and the tinkling of her laughter, you watch as her form dissipates, and that mote of light travels from the hand and begins to kind of circle around Ogris before flying through their chest, exit your chest, fly through twigs, and begin orbiting around both of you. And as one final act of faith, you see a small skiff appear on this beach in front of you, waiting for all of you.
All right, let's get the show on the road, people.
So, all of you board? And all of you watch as you get on board. This golden skiff begins to kind of float and then levitate off of the water, and you see it lurch forward at a clip. All of you feel the need to hold on to this spot in the water and grip the seats of the skiff as it begins traversing at such a fast pace through the air above you. And I am going to turn one card, and we're going to see how this goes. Oh, yes. The hidden moon. It accentuates gray. It weakens indigo. New beginnings, insight, intuition, foresight, looking ahead, potential danger. We talk about the sun, but the moon has as much influence over our lives. It just does it more subtly, quietly. The moon is stealthy. It comes at night. It hides amid the treetops and behind the tall buildings. Its light is soft and dim. The moon hides so that it can peer ahead unnoticed and catch a glimpse of even those things it should not see. The ever-changing moon reflects our changing nature, our bodies and our minds. It represents intuition. The moon is present when we feel more than we think, when something just feels right or feels wrong. That might be the moon's influence. It also represents inspiration, a sudden new idea. The moon rewards those who can discover its secrets. So, this is what happens. As you are all flying through the air, it is notable, Gabrielle, that you said you were going to Satyrine. That Aya...
Well, I want to be very clear. That was Marcy asking us at the table what we were doing.
Okay. So, in that case, I'm going to rewind this.
There was no accent.
Fair enough. I should have been listening for it. However, there was one of you that emerged without a purpose. And without this purpose to help adhere all of you to basically anchor your trajectory or to write it, you feel something feel wrong as you traverse. And then suddenly you see almost like tearing paper, as though the skiff managed to penetrate through the air around it into past like a curtain of some sort. You see a gray world, and then it tears through another piece of paper, and you see a blue sun hanging over the sky, and then it tears through another piece of paper, and that blueness grows dim and dark. And you all brace as the skiff impacts upon a thudding outcropping in a floating isle. And in the distance, as you have impacted, you see a massive edifice, a building, a structure in which you can see lights slowly moving through the windows. Gabrielle, you are a sniper. And you immediately, there's something about those lights that feels familiar. So you retrieve your sniper rifle. You look through the scope, and you see that those lights that are moving are not just any lights. They are burning moths. And you realize that you are now inside the accidental space. And that is where we're going to end tonight's episode.
Can I ask one really important question?
Yeah.
This might be the most important question anybody asked tonight.
Uh-huh.
Are my ears still stupid cat ears?
Do you want them to still be stupid cat ears?
Twig does, Okris doesn't.
One cat ear.
So, one last
Single
thing.
one in the middle of your head.
Oh, thanks. I hate it. No,
one last the sigh hair. I don't know what do you call like a one-eared. Anyhow, I will add one last image to this, which is when all of you kind of rise from the wrecked skiff. It's 4 of you that rise, but 5 consciousnesses. As Twig and Okris, you occupy one body, but both of you are still there. And we will cover what that means in the next episode. So guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm going to send us back to the main screen here. Yeah, sorry about a little bit of the railroading at the end, but we're slowly but surely making our way towards the conclusion of this, The Hole in the World. Guys, thanks so much, and thank you most importantly to my wonderful cast. And I am going to start off our shoutouts and plugs. We will be doing character recaps offline, and you guys will see some nifty stuff next time. But in the meantime, shoutouts, plugs. Marcy, start us off.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it nice and short. I don't know when exactly this is airing, but I do know that Manipause Studios definitely has another season of Streets of Gotham on while this is almost certainly airing. So do check out that show. Hopper and I are both on it. And it's a lot of fun and it is unhinged. Other than that, stay safe. Punch a fascists.
Mm-hmm. Bill, if you would like shoutouts and plugs.
Friend of the show, Jeff Stormer. Go to jeffstormer.com and read all the stuff that he does. I'm not going to tell you. That's it.
Hopper, shoutouts and plugs.
Yeah, presuming, well, unfortunately, this is probably going to be an evergreen statement for a little bit. I'd like to shout out bail funds. Yeah, hi, what's up? The authoritarians are cracking down, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get way worse before it gets better. And a lot of people are out there risking their literal lives and their physical safety, as well as their the serious long-term repercussions that come with being arrested for engaging in constitutionally protected free speech. Yeah, there are bail funds set up in a great number of places. Find your local bail fund, donate, support, do whatever you can. There are so many ways to engage in resistance against the things that we see that are sweeping up both our country and the world's. And take care of each other, engage in activities of solidarity, and yeah, even if you can only do a little bit, that little bit counts and it matters. So shout out to bail funds.
Marissa, shoutouts and plugs.
Yeah, last time I said, as your resident fantasy librarian, about the importance of, when they're trying to censor books, to talk about them. And so I guess my plug is going to be for books that I'm reading and sharing with all of you, because I'm not going to let the fascists stop me from talking about the books I'm reading. For example, What's Left? It's a book about 3 paths through the planetary crisis of global warming, which they're trying to ignore, but is very, very real. Malcolm Harris is a great author. I've really enjoyed this book. Their prior book, Palo Alto, is also incredible. Really smart thinking, really good words. Read it. It's got good thoughts. And talk to someone else about what you're reading, because it's very important to keep the dialogue about ideas going, because if we don't do it, someone else will stop it for us.
Absolutely. And guys, for my own part, I am going to say 3 words, 3 very important words: mutual aid organizations. Find a bunch that are local to you and donate to them wherever you feel like your dollar will make the kind of most impact. And then also 2 more words: go vote. I don't know when this is going to air. I am assuming maybe sometime in November. Or maybe somewhere before or after. Either way, I hope you go vote, because that's one of the only avenues left for us to change it, and all the other avenues are not looking great, and we're probably going to have to pursue them anyway, so just remember that. Anyhow, most importantly, make sure you take care of yourselves, make sure you take care of each other, and may the invisible sun shine on you all. Good night, and we will see you next time.